we've all been advised to stay home, it has been pretty quiet at home. Now, however, the funny or the more interesting thing is that at supermarkets, the lines and queues are horrendous. So my name is Virigina Chan, and I am based in Hong Kong, and I run a food tour company in Hong Kong called Humid with a Chance of Fish Bowls. We specialize in food tours. So in terms of how the coronavirus is affecting me is that for the month of February, I have essentially canceled all the tours that we have just because it's the safety of our guides and us and also for my family members. So essentially, I don't have any income for the month of February. So in terms of my living situation at home, like I said, all of us are working from home and we also have relatives staying with us at this time. So we have 5 people in about 500 square foot of space. So there's a lot of seeing each other and there's not a lot of private time or private spaces. And so we're all trying to make the best that we can from it. However, we are starting to have cabin fever. So the different safety precautions that I take when I go out, and I am probably more cautious than some people and less cautious than some people, is that I put on a face mask, but also at the same time, I might put on sunglasses just because they say that having protective eyewear is better. I don't have goggles that seal completely, but I just have sunglasses that I wear. And then I just recently acquired gloves, like latex gloves. So then I don't want to be touching everything. So if I'm going to the supermarket, I'll wear gloves so then I can just dispose of the gloves afterwards. Also, lots of people say maybe the masks are not effective, etc., but I definitely still wear the masks. The only thing is I try not to touch my face at all if I have the masks on. And so if I'm going to take off my masks, I'm going to wash my hands first. So the safety precautions that I'm taking at home is that we have disinfected the whole areas with our kitchen and our bathroom with bleach, a bleach solution. And we are now also, when we flush the toilet, we're actually closing down the lid because we've heard that things can transmit through the toilet. So we're closing the lid on our toilet. And also we are pouring 500 milliliters of water into the U-shaped drain pipes every week or every 5 days as per government recommendation. And we are now a lot of times using antibacterial wipes to wipe down surfaces, especially my phone. In terms of the cityscape of Hong Kong, I would say as we've all been advised to stay home, it has been pretty quiet at home. Now, however, the funny or the more interesting thing is that at supermarkets, the lines and queues are horrendous just because everybody is stocking up on supplies and everybody's cooking at home. So they are going to the supermarkets, I would assume, more often. So I have seen crowds around the supermarkets. I have also seen queues and crowds around pharmacies or anywhere that is giving out or selling masks or any antibacterial supplies. So I see queues there, but generally in terms of restaurants, in terms of entertainment places like movie theaters, it has been very, very quiet. There's a big mask shortage, so we are trying to ration our masks, meaning that if one person is going to go out, they're going to do all of the tasks and they're going to run all of the errands for the entire household so we can save on masks. Other things that we're doing is, as I work non-conventional hours and I'm really not at work anymore, when we are out of toilet paper or when we're out of masks, I am usually the one that's at the supermarket trying to catch them at a good time where they're restocking and able to get the toilet paper and get the groceries, etc. I don't even know why there's a shortage of toilet paper. Apparently there was a rumor saying that the toilet paper is manufactured in China and they're going to stop manufacturing it. And so people went into panic mode and they just took all of the toilet paper off of the shelves. Toilet paper, masks, antibacterial related anything, and also rice. And so in the supermarket, it's crazy. Actually, just this morning, there were 3 armed thieves and they robbed a supermarket and they took 50 packets of toilet paper and it has about 600 toilet rolls and they robbed the supermarket of it. So in terms of the pharmacies, we have a lot of local pharmacies where maybe it's not a big chain store. And some of those pharmacies, we call them harten, which means black-hearted stores, because they have the masks, but they're selling it for 3 to 5 times more than what it normally would sell for. There's actually an Excel sheet that circulates on the internet telling you which stores and which pharmacies are the black-hearted stores. And then the supermarkets, I guess it's all about supply and demand, right? So if they can't get vegetables and then the price of the vegetables will increase. So, I mean, the supermarkets, I guess, are the only people that are really profiting from this. My grandma lived through SARS. I wasn't here during SARS, but she lived through SARS 17 years ago. And that was a very traumatic experience and a very depressing time for the people of Hong Kong because no one knew what was happening. They had no clue what it was. And so I think that really is still inside of a lot of people in Hong Kong. They remember what a tough time that went through. So therefore, when it's like almost like a second version of it now, therefore they go into panic mode and they're more cautious, which I think is a good thing because then it prevents the spread of the disease. So I personally don't think that the government of Hong Kong has been proactive in the way that they've handled the situation, and the situation being the coronavirus outbreak. I am also in the school of thought that we should have closed our borders a lot sooner. And I think that we have 15 border checkpoints. The first 6 that they closed had very little traffic. I think if anything, they should have closed the 6 major ones first. In order for the people in Hong Kong to feel more at ease, I would say, to appease the people in Hong Kong, to make them feel like the government is in control of the situation. I also believe that if they were to recommend all the citizens of Hong Kong to wear a face mask, and there's about 7 million of us here, I also would have hoped that they had enough face masks before they said and they recommended such a thing. So there are several things that I think they could have done better. So in terms of how the government communicates with the people of Hong Kong is that there is a news conference or a press conference that happens every single day. I think it's around 4 p.m. or so, or that's when I see it anyways, at 4 p.m. So the news is constantly broadcasting the development. So I would say in that aspect, it is quite transparent. The government also will put up a whole listing of a couple of categories. One is all the people are doing a home quarantine, and they put up all the housing estates of where those people are staying at. They have another list of all the people that have confirmed cases of the coronavirus and also where their housing estate or where they live. And so I think on that front, the government has done pretty well in trying to keep up to date in all the developing news of the coronavirus. There are other protests also that are happening in Hong Kong as well, and that's to do with the quarantine areas that the government wants to set up. So every time they want to set up a quarantine area, I think one case that comes to mind was they wanted to set it up in a newly developed public housing estate in Funlang, and people opposed it and they went and they protested against that. Another time they want to set it up somewhere else, and then so the people around that district went and they protest around that. So now there are protests that are related to the coronavirus and where they're setting up the quarantine. And then there's also the protests that happened before. They still happen now, but I definitely think that there's less people that show up and they happen less frequently. I don't know exactly what's happening outside, and so the only thing I can do is just to try to stay at home as much as I can. And so because no one knows how the virus is, no one has a vaccine for it, it's just there's just so many unknowns and uncertainties that I don't think anybody in Hong Kong truly feels safe and secure in Hong Kong currently. So yeah, I don't feel completely safe and secure in Hong Kong at this moment.